Okay, my name is my name is Bobby Vaught. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you so choose. In the description below, I'm almost reluctant to mention this today for reasons I'll explain in a second, but I'll put a link to lesson 1 in the description below to a series that I've done, everything you need to know to understand investing, up to 18 lessons now, more coming at some point. If you're interested, each lesson has a link in the description to the next one. Lesson 1 has a link to lesson 2, which has a link to lesson 3, and so on and so forth. Make them all real easy to find if you're interested. Real heavy emphasis on the stock market, although pretty much covered everything else as well. I was almost kind of reluctant to mention that today because the subject that I'm going to get to today, talk about investing, seems almost kind of shallow. But in any event, if you're interested, there it is. There's 2 parts of this channel. I talk about investing, and that's one part of it. And then I also do a lot of political, social, economics commentary, that kind of thing, which in fact is today. So we're going to listen to something that President Trump said at the State of the Union address last night. This is February the 25th, last night, February 24th. And so we're going to take a listen to something he said and then watch the Democrats' reaction to it. And I'm going to tell you exactly, precisely why I have zero interest in voting for Democrats. None. Okay? So let's listen to what he says here. And by the way, no, I'll cover that. I'll cover that point in just a second here. Let's listen to what he says here and watch the Democrats' reaction to it first, okay? Here we go.
And again, we're honored to be joined tonight by a woman who's been through hell, Iryna Zarutska. In 2022, she and her beautiful daughter, so beautiful, what a beautiful young woman. Iryna fled war-torn Ukraine to live with relatives near Charlotte, North Carolina. And by the way, what's going on with Charlotte? Last summer, 23-year-old Iryna was riding home on the train when a deranged monster who had been arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget. There were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Iryna's face.
This woman is crying her eyes out for probably about the 1,000th time over the loss of her daughter.
She looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal set free to kill in America. Came in through open borders. Mrs. Zarutska, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Iryna. How do you not stand? How do you not stand?
Great question, President Trump. He's looking over here at this side of the aisle, the Democrats over here. They're not going to applaud that, which is the point I'm getting to in just a moment.
I'm asking this Congress to pass tough legislation to ensure that violent and dangerous repeat offenders are put behind bars, and importantly, that they stay there.
Okay, there it is. They all sit on their hands. So let's just clarify this, okay? So here's Iryna Zarutska. She and her daughter came to this country in 2022 legally. And Iryna Zarutska was slaughtered. Yeah, Trump said he was a deranged, hardened criminal. Yeah, that may be an understatement. based on reports regarding the August 2022-2025 killing of 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee Iryna Zarutska on a Charlotte, North Carolina light rail train. The suspect, Carlos Brown Jr., 34, a U.S.-born citizen with a long criminal history. Brown, who has a history of mental health issues and 14 prior arrests, was released from custody months before the attack, despite having a history of violent offenses. Brown was arrested shortly after the incident, charged with a first-degree murder, and later faced federal charges for causing death on a mass transportation system. That murder should have never happened. Let's just back this up a little bit here to right here. Take a look at this. This woman is crying her eyes out. She came from the other side of the world in 2022. Her daughter is murdered. She and her family came here illegally. She and her daughter, her family, from Ukraine, and her daughter is murdered. I have a question for you. What is she supposed to think about America when she hears the president speaking, and half of Congress can't stand up and applaud the idea that she should get justice for her daughter? What is she supposed to think when half of Congress is too busy being anti-Trump to stop and just be pro-American for a couple of minutes? Democrats, grow up! Get it? They couldn't stop being anti-Trump for 2 minutes long enough to applaud the idea of that woman getting justice for her daughter. And the ironic thing is, those of you who know me know that in both 2016 and 2024, those presidential elections, as a Republican voter, I thought we had better options in the primaries, and I said so. I used my social media page. I exercised my freedom of speech. I explained why numerous times. 2020 was a little different because Trump was the incumbent president, so there was there really was no primaries at the time. But so November 2024, I vote for Trump in the general election because I'm a reasonable person. What else would I do? I mean, politics is like every other area of life. You don't always get what you want. But if you're the Republican who favored Trump over any of the others, I understand that. I know what didn't happen. When I made those posts on my social media page about why I thought we had better options in the primaries, I know what didn't happen. Here's what did happen. There are people on the Trump side in the primaries who, they discussed it with me, and they said, well, what about this and this and this? We would have these discussions. Here's what didn't happen. They didn't come down on my head. They understood that, and don't do it now either, please. I mean, you would just be doing the same thing the Democrats over here are doing. The Republican voters the Trump voters in the primaries didn't come down on my head. They understood, and we discussed things. They just kind of went, okay, well, we have a disagreement. We're all Americans. Unbelievable. Half of Congress couldn't stand up and applaud this woman right here, right there. The idea that she should have justice for her daughter, and that murder never should have happened. DeCarlos Brown Jr., 34, long criminal history, history of mental health issues, and 14 prior arrests, was released a few months before the attack on Iryna Zarutska, despite having a history of violent offenses, and he was released on no cash bail. Charged with first-degree murder, later faced federal charges for causing death on a mass transportation system. Democrats, try just being part of America again. Instead of being anti-Trump every second of your life, try just take 2 minutes and just try to be pro-American for a few minutes. Seriously. Democrats, grow up. Fed up with these people. I mean really fed up. I'm going to leave it right there. Until next time, do the best you can on this. Hope you have a great day.